Dynamic East, the Rural Enterprise Programme sponsored by Norse Group.
Think of East Anglia and it's easy to imagine a stunning rural landscape rich in heritage. But it's also a dynamic outward-facing region of cutting-edge innovation and enterprise. We're going under the bonnet of the Eastern region to meet some of the talented people doing business on the global stage.
East Anglia is obviously a rural area, so naturally food and farming has always featured strongly in our regional economy. You probably remember learning about the agricultural revolution when you were at school, and perhaps your history teacher told you all about the Norfolk 4-crop rotation system and local agricultural pioneers such as Turnip Townsend from Rainham Hall and of course Thomas Cook of Holkham.
Fast forward 200 years. And Norfolk is once more the heart of an agricultural revolution. The global forces of climate change, new technology and a rapidly growing urban population are driving innovation across the industry. Cheaper, faster, smarter computers are transforming the way we produce food. They now run milking plants and control irrigation systems, while tractors use satellite tracking for precision ploughing, seeding, spraying and harvesting. And scientists are using supercomputers to analyse genetic data that will help them grow more and healthier food while using less water and other resources.
Agritech may seem like a buzzword, but it's also big business. It's worth something like 14.3 billion to the UK economy and accounts for something like 13.6 billion in exports. Many people in our region are embracing these opportunities, from innovative farmers to scientists on the Norwich Research Park. Their big challenge is much like the old challenge that we saw in the first agricultural revolution. It's how do we feed a growing, mainly urban population? But on top of that, they've got to deal with the challenge of climate change.
I think rural enterprises within the county faces a challenge of attracting and developing the skills and the technologies needed for the 21st century and meeting the demands of industry. And to do that, you have to retain the management, the skills, the operational excellence that you have within this area.
So how do we grow more food on the same amount of land using less water, less fuel, less fertiliser? How do we deal with climate change that's producing droughts and flash floods? How do we reduce soil erosion? These are the big challenges we face.
One answer is what many in the industry call sustainable intensification.
The reason we have crop rotations is if we grew the same crop year after year, we would exhaust the nutrients in the soils, we would have a build-up of certain pests and diseases that attack that one crop. So we have a crop rotation, which means we then grow a different crop in the same field year after year. So crop rotations were effectively invented in Norfolk back in the early 18th century, and traditionally a 4-course rotation then. We've now modernised that here at Holkham, and we use a 6-course rotation up here at Holkham. We're an ever-growing population, and the need to produce more food is getting more and more important. So effectively, we're not going to get very much more land to use to grow arable crops on, so we have to make more efficient use of what we've got at the moment. So by keeping the soil healthier, we are hoping going to increase production on the arable land that we farm at the moment. So along with the along with the rotation and also the input of organic manures and fertilisers, we're trying to keep the soil as healthy as possible so we can grow the maximum potential yield in each one of those individual years.
Norwich Research Park has the largest concentration of life science research institutes in Europe. Here, scientists at the John Innes Centre are developing drought and disease-resistant crops, while the Institute of Food Research and the UEA are investing £81 million in a new research facility called the Quadram Institute, with a view to improving our understanding of how food helps us maintain our health into old age.
And we were delighted last year to announce an £82 million investment in a brand new institute, again unique in the world, which brings together the hospital, the university and the Institute of Food Research. That's the Quadram Institute, and it will focus on food health and the microbiome, which is all about gut health. And it will have 40,000 patients per annum and 400 researchers. There's no building in the whole of the world that's been actually purpose-built for this reason.
Here at the John Innes Centre, we are focusing on fundamental research in the areas of plant and microbial sciences. And we use that fundamental knowledge to help us to develop new and advanced and improved ways of delivering agricultural practice. That would include plant breeding, the new area of biologics, which is developing microbes to enhance the growth and performance of crops in fields, right the way through to using some of that knowledge to produce new products and compounds based on the natural products produced in plants and microbes. So what Turnip Townsend told us back when agriculture was in its early days in Norfolk was that if you grew a monoculture, so just wheat in a rotation, what happened is after a period of time, the productivity, the yield of that crop fell. But we didn't know why. What happened was he found out that if you changed the crop, so in each season, instead of growing wheat, you went wheat, oilseed, rape, or wheat, potato, the productivity of the crop and the health of the crop improved. So there is a question about saying, could we take climate out of the equation? Could we actually grow plants in an environment which is completely controlled and completely separated from disease and other uncontrolled factors that make the crop perform badly? And the answer is yes, we can, and that's beginning to happen. Talking about urban agriculture or vertical farming, essentially this is actually saying let's bring agriculture indoors.
So against this challenge of an increasing population, it means that we actually have less land on which we can produce food and increasingly energy. So this presents a real opportunity to work out ways of doing more with less and actually having less of an environmental impact and producing higher yields, higher productivity with lower inputs and lower costs. One way of meeting these challenges is through the so-called sustainable intensification agenda, essentially doing and growing more but using and spending less. And this is a way that we hope will encourage the opportunity to grow more, to increase productivity and profitability on farms, but also increasing the sustainability of farming businesses and agricultural production, not just in the east of England or just the UK, but globally as well.
Across the eastern region, innovative young companies are looking at sustainable ways to grow more food in urban areas and reduce food waste. Cambridge-based Atomic is using black soldier flies to convert food waste into biofuel, animal feed and fertiliser. While here in Suffolk, Aponic are developing soil-free vertical farms for commercial and domestic use.
The Aponic system is a vertical soilless growing system. You put the plants in the front of it and the roots are in the back of the tube. You spray them with a nutrient mix for 10 seconds every half an hour. It creates about 30% faster growth and about 30% bigger yield, and it also saves 90% of the water that you'd normally pour on the ground. It's run on a 12-volt system, so it will run perfectly well on solar power and just rainwater. Well, it lends itself perfectly to vertical farming, so we get food with 0 food miles, there's 0 runoff, and they can be grown literally right in the centre of town.
So the next time you hear about a global breakthrough in food research or agricultural technology, take a look at where that company's based, because they might just be down the road from where you're sitting right now.
Dynamic East, the Rural Enterprise Programme, sponsored by Norse Group.